did come up with this theory by myself, but while I was looking online, I found out that it might actually already be a theory. So, we all know about the Hylian Civil War described in Ocarina of Time. The thing that caused Link's mother to put him in care of the Great Deku Tree.
Oh yeah, Civil War noises and stuff and things and...
And we all know about the Interloper War, the war described in Twilight Princess, detailing how the interlopers were banished to the Twilight Realm.
Oh, how spooky. There's some interlopers. They use magic and stuff.
If you didn't know any of that, then now you do. Congratulations, you learned something new already. Let's move on. I'm here to tell you that these two wars, that these two wars are one and the same. Believe it or not, because not is the correct answer.
This theory and video were made with my very, very reliable sources, and I had so many of them, and I definitely know what I'm doing, and this isn't my first video or anything, so yeah.
Alright, so here on the timeline, this is when the Twilight were banished.
Yes, I'm using a whiteboard. Give me a break. I'm working with iMovie for the editing. I don't want to go through all that, please.
This is the Civil War. They're already pretty close together. The only thing in between is the Minish Cap. So you're thinking, if the timeline says they're different wars, then they're probably different wars. But in the Minish Cap, there's no mention of a war that happened previously. So in Ocarina of Time, on the other hand, there is mention of war. The Hylian Civil War, to be specific. Now, just because the Minish Cap left off the fact that there could have been a war before it, doesn't mean that there wasn't a war before it. But it feels redundant to have the same war happen twice. You want proof that it's the same war? So what's the connecting factor that the Twilight Banishment War and the Hylian Civil War are the same war? The connecting factor would be the Triforce. Both groups, or both wars, I should say, were a group of people that were Hylians, split off from the regular Hylians because they wanted control of the Triforce. The only difference being is in Twilight Princess, it says that the Tweely, as we know them now, I think, or the Twilight, or something, you know, the people who were banished to the Twilight Realm, they called them interlopers, I think. It says that they were good at magic. Now, it doesn't say that anywhere in Ocarina of Time about the Civil War, but that's an easy detail to overlook if you share my opinion here. So, both wars, some people split off from the Hylians, fought over the Triforce, and lost, right? And we never see any of the people who were opposing the Hylians in the Civil War. In Ocarina of Time, they're nowhere to be found. What if that's because they were banished to the Twilight Realm? Nowhere to be found if they're off in a whole nother realm.
To me, it makes more sense to combine that war with that war. And we'd be combining them right above Ocarina of Time rather than above the Minish Cap because that's where they make more sense.
And if I didn't tell you, my good buddy Wes will surely back me up. I consider myself to be a Zelda lore expert, by my standards at least, and I see nothing wrong with his theory. It answers more questions than it raises, I'd say. The idea of both those wars being the same one, I really enjoy that idea, because that unites some of the Zelda lore, and uniting Zelda lore just makes me happy, what can I say? But if you disagree, make sure to state your reasons in the comments so that I can have an intellectual argument with me, with you, with us. Sorry. Now you may think, by Twilight Princess, the people who were banished to the Twilight Realm had already fully evolved into whole other types of beings that could survive in Twilight without becoming spirits and all that. So it must have been a pretty long time ago. Well, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, we don't know how far apart they are. I'm guessing it's not in the millions of years. Maybe in the thousands. I would guess in the hundreds, though. Although that might be disproving my own theory. But given how fast creatures evolve in The Legend of Zelda, I don't think it's a stretch to say that the Twilight just evolved really quickly. Like, example, the Zora evolved into the Rito, like basically opposite species in however long between the Flood and Wind Waker, which was probably even less time than Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is that evolution thing really doesn't have any grounds to stand. If you're one to just think the timeline is fact, well then let me remind you that 4 swords used to be down here on the timeline, and I made this video pretending that it was. And so the timeline is not in fact concrete. I mean, even at the beginning of the good old Legends of Zelda encyclopedia, it says that this is the history of the Legend of Zelda as we know it now, or according to our something or another. So it's not concrete facts in there, which means that there's a little room for malleability, which is what I'm using here. Sorry, that was a big word. It means squishy. There's a little fact for you. I don't know if this video has actually been entertaining to you, but I think it's a pretty interesting theory. I like that. I had a lot of fun thinking about it, making it up. Seems like a foolproof theory. No one could really disprove it at this point, unless they just say the timeline is right. So you're wrong. But you wouldn't do that to me. You wouldn't do that to me. No. All right. Make sure you smash that like button and you smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video.
I just found and watched this video that's basically debunking my entire theory and stuff. So if we get 1 like on the video, I'll make a video debunking the debunking of my theory. Also, that was like 8 years ago, so